Alright everyone, we start off today with an interesting article. We're going to analyze things a little bit differently than the particular author of this opinion piece does though. Link in the description, not archived, because it's from RCP itself, and I usually don't bother to archive them because, you know, they're a good aggregator. They just report on the reporting, so the bias level on the site is manageable, I would say. Interesting article. It's saying essentially that other Republicans are afraid to run against Donald Trump because, you know, you understand his particular style of campaigning. Just look at how he crucified Bolton the other day. If you get into the race against him, you're going to get slammed. If he becomes the nominee, you're left in the position where, unlike most people who sort of kiss and make up after the primaries, Trump may or may not offer you a job, may or may not offer you a kickback, or at the very least say, oh, yeah, good game, and shake your hand. Or he might just shit can you. It really depends on what you said, how you campaigned, and whether or not you're useful. You see that Trump has that businessman-like approach to things, and so other people are more reluctant to go up against him. The article says this is terrible. The Republicans are going to be left with Trump as their nominee if nobody else gets in. Please, other Republicans, you got to understand that you got to be really forceful with someone like Donald. I analyze it differently. It's wise to sit this one out. Even if you think that Trump is about to become nominee and lose, which, I mean, could happen. We're still, 2 years out from the election. We'll see what happens with the economy, with the world diplomatic situation, at his age, with Trump and Biden's health, the health of other potential candidates. Bernie's polling at 15% among Democrats in New Hampshire, I think, or was it South Carolina, rather. And, he's in his 80s. Elizabeth Warren is in her 70s. Hillary's sitting it out officially. By the way, there were still people that are saying, well, it's going to be Hillary out of nowhere. This time we're for sure. That won't happen because she's already ruled it out. Just to be clear, she's definitively said that she intends not to run. If I'm a Republican, let's say that I'm Ron DeSantis, for example. We're not really going to bother about like Bolton and stuff because they're just grifters. Someone who would potentially be viable. Arguably is, by the way, a little bit ahead in New Hampshire's GOP primary polling of Trump at this particular moment, although well behind in South Carolina. I think behind elsewhere as well. He's potentially viable. He cracks the double-digit margins. He comes within almost single digits of Trump in some national polling. But he's the governor of Florida. He was handily reelected. He's very popular in state. He has a disadvantage against Trump in virtually any national metric. Why would I want to hazard my good grace with the MAGA crowd, which is a substantial proportion of the Republican Party, in order to run against Trump, potentially getting, again, shit-canned in the process by someone who then, if they defeat me, goes on to become presidential nominee for the GOP, potentially the next president of the United States? It would be career suicide. I've got a comfy thing going. I can always wait because if I'm DeSantis, I'm in my 40s. I'm not an old man yet. I can wait until Trump either wins or loses. 4 years pass, and then I can launch a campaign. I've got no reason to believe I won't get reelected anyway to my particular position unless all shit hits the fan down in Florida. So there's no real reason, there's no benefit to me running. In the off chance that I do make it, I can't guarantee that my main opponent is even going to endorse me. Well, that would be the end of my campaign. The Democrats would win. I would go down in history as the dude who ceded the gubernatorial slot to become a failed presidential candidate. So I think that DeSantis is reluctant entirely for self-serving reasons. There's no real, regardless of who wins, there's always at least a significant risk that he hazards his own political career. Let's look at Pence. Mike Pence has his own scandal right now, broiling, just like Joe Biden with his presidential records taking, vice presidential, of course, in their cases at that time. He's got that problem. He's not the most well-spoken. He's not really liked by MAGA. Now, he doesn't lose as much as DeSantis by getting in, because MAGA people generally don't like him already, which could be why he barely breaks into the double digits. And by the way, that's the field. Nobody else is relevant, to tell the truth at this time. It's Trump, DeSantis, and Pence, and the other two haven't gotten in. Trump is effectively frozen a lot of people out of the field anyway. Mike Pence gets in. He gets trashed. he probably ends up with his own personal dirt being spewed out on the debate stage because he's running against his former boss. I don't think it would be a wise decision. Of course, he wasn't in 2016. He just got grabbed up by Donald Trump basically as an olive branch to the uniparty, as saying, look, hey, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, don't worry, I won't ruffle too many feathers. Here's this fucking neocon that looks a little bit like George W. He'll be VP. For a while it worked, by the way. Then he got down to business when he got in as president, and immediately these people soured on it and said, oh shit, we effectively just got tricked by Donald Trump. Whoops, that's a strategic blunder. Bolton is just a grifter, he wants to sell books. Pompeo is just a grifter who wants to sell books. You've got the possibility of, you've got Nikki Haley, who's already being slated to play the I'm the only woman in the field card, but is that really going to work with the GOP in its current inception? I can't imagine that it would. Even if you split the ticket and you had a 3 or 4-way race, I don't think that she could break double digits on the, hey, I happen to have a vagina, look at all these penises up on stage with me, ticket. I just don't think that candidacy would work. So who would want to run against Trump? You're either 1-2 points in. You might do it for grifting purposes, but you're not really a viable contender. Bolton will never break 5 points, for example. Pence, if he gets in, he's got basically no chance. You've only got one viable candidate, potentially, that has actually expressed some degree of interest in running. Ted Cruz hasn't. Rand Paul has ruled it out. Little Marco, that's going to be a long shot, although I think he'd be in a better position than DeSantis, oddly, to get into the race. Again, though, he pulls at 2 or 3 points. We're not even sure if they'll bother with debates. We're not even sure if some states will bother with an actual primary. The other thing is that because of the technical incumbency of Trump, he was president, he's eligible for another term. There's a lapse in the time he's in office, but he was the president of the United States. That technical incumbency gives some Republican voters the sense that it's automatically his turn. Now, it's not as many as if you had an incumbent that was running for consecutive terms. That it's not as powerful an impetus as that, but it could sway some states, because some of those states are MAGA territory. You think some of the southern states, some of the Midwestern states, western states, like the core, the flyover country, Trump could gobble up enough delegates to get pretty close to the mark without ever having to wage a campaign. And some of those are winner-take-all states. There's no guarantee that those states even proceed with the primary. They may say, fuck it. Donald Trump's, especially if nobody else viable enters the field, then they'll automatically do it. If it's Trump v. Bolton and Haley and Pence, if DeSantis doesn't get in, basically, you're almost guaranteed not to have a messy primary. This is why the unipartyists are trying their damnedest to astroturf DeSantis 2024. Again, I don't think that he is part of that particular joke. I think that it's basically they want to toss him in the race, cripple Trump. They don't care whether he wins or loses because there will be bad blood because of Trump's particular debate style. And then Trump goes on to lose in the general if he does proceed through the primaries. That's their ultimate goal. It's still literally orange man bad right now. What you see with this article, with legacy coverage in general, is literally just, oh my God, we've got to stop Trump. They're terrified of him. They're even more terrified right now that he'll get back on Twitter. By the way, Don, you need to do so. That's about all. Peace out.